I'm on live. Good morning, Member Sawyer. How are you this morning?
I'm well, thanks. How about yourself?
Good. Glad to see
Good.
everything is working.
I was just kind of setting up, and I'll go ahead and mute my video and my sound and wait for the meeting to start.
Sounds wonderful.
All right, good job. Thank you.
Thanks. Good morning, Council Member Oliveris. How are you this morning? Good morning, Ernesto. How are you?
Very, very well, Eileen. How about you?
Good.
Hey, Ernesto.
Hey, John, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. Foggy again.
Yes.
At least it's not smoke.
Huh?
At least it's not smoke.
I know it'll be fire pretty soon. I mean, not fire, but it'll be heat pretty soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I heard that Paso Robles could be 119 on Sunday.
Are you heading that way?
It probably won't hit that, but it's a potential.
Are you heading that way?
No, thank goodness. That was a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, so I know Victoria's going to be join us a little bit late. She's on another meeting right now.
Yes.
Yes, and other than that, we are ready to go whenever you are.
Very well, then we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. And again, just as in the past meetings, this will be a virtual meeting based on the COVID-19 pandemic that we've got going on. We're all doing this remotely. And again, members of the public wishing to speak during public comment or during any of our items, you're encouraged to use the raised hand feature on your Zoom, or if you're calling in by phone, by pressing *9, and you will be allowed to make comments then. So let's go ahead and begin with our roll call again. I'm here, as well as Councilmember Sawyer. Vice Mayor Fleming will be joining us shortly as soon as she's off another meeting as well. So do we have any other announcements for this morning?
No, we don't, unless Raphael. Raphael, you should be able to speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, I was just making sure we don't have any other announcements before we get on with our regular agenda.
Morning.
Good morning, Raphael. Okay, let's go ahead and begin with public comment on items not on the agenda. Again, if you wish to make a comment, please use the raise hand feature on your Zoom, or if you're calling in by phone, use press *9 to raise your hand, and we'll have you make a comment. So it looks like we have none, Eileen.
Yes, we are ready to go.
Okay.
We have no raised hands. I apologize, Councilmember.
No problem. It's okay. We've got to manage this thing virtually here. We'll get through it. So let's go ahead and move on to our new business. Our first item for today is Tara Thompson with permitted events and public arts update.
And Tara, you should be able to speak now.
Thank you, Eileen. Good morning, Chair Oliveras and Councilmember Sawyer and everyone. I have a brief update today on events as well as public art. I'll start with events. We don't have too much to update since our meeting last month. Special event permits continue to be suspended through the end of the year at the least, except for certain activities such as open and out and other economic drivers or service providing types of events that follow current health orders, such as a farmer's market, for instance. We did have some news from Ironman. I think I mentioned last time that Ironman, or maybe 2 times ago, that Ironman will not be holding any events here in Santa Rosa this year. But they also announced recently that they are not going to hold an Ironman event in 2021 either. And that they will come back to Santa Rosa for one event in 2022, which would be the last event under their current contract with the city. That's really all I have for events, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but I'll move directly on to the art update. So Imagine Art in Courthouse Square is the new public art project planned for the north end of the square. We are very excited that we have 5 finalist designs that are now on view to the public on our website. The website to take a look at is srcity.org/imagineart. All 5 finalist images and descriptions are on the site, as well as a survey. And we really encourage everyone to take a brief survey on the site, which asks, what's your favorite? How do you respond to the 5 finalist designs? The survey results will be used in the final considerations of the selection panel when they make their final decision. For other artwork news, the ZAG artwork by Michael Hayden, which you may recall was on the pedestrian bridge behind the Vineyard Creek Hyatt Hotel for many years and was not maintained in a proper way, fell apart. Recently, the Art and Public Places Committee adopted the piece and commissioned the artist to recreate it on the pedestrian bridge closer to Prince Gateway Park over the creek, the Santa Rosa Creek. And Michael just completed that work And we have our city electricians finalizing the final connections to our photo cell kind of timer system. So it'll come on in the evenings and go off early morning. And if you recall, this is a fiber optic now converted to LED light sculpture, which is on the bridge itself and should be very colorful and interesting to look at once it's up and running, should be by this weekend. We will not be able to hold a traditional dedication ceremony or unveiling due to COVID, but we will be announcing the news online and through our social media channels, and potentially holding an event when we can, when health orders allow that. Excuse me. The other artwork news we have open and out. Cadence will probably share more under the DAO update today, but we have had just a wonderful outpouring of support for all of the art that we have been able to install as temporary art as part of the open and out program along 4th Street and in Courthouse Square. I think we have 7 or 8 completed installations with about 15 or so yet to come. So it's been a really wonderful way to support artists and enliven the space downtown. In other just kind of maintenance news, we are planning to work on the woman with the water jug sculpture on 4th Street at Jeju Way. But there are some issues with the fountain itself we're trying to work through with our Public Works team, as well as we have on our schedule to repaint Tuberosity, which is that yellow sculpture in Olive Park. So that is a public art and events update, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Vice Mayor Fleming, Councilmember Sawyer, any questions?
Just a quick request. Tara, could you repeat the survey website again for us?
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's srcity.org/imagineart.
Thank you.
Tara, I just wanted to let you know that I had an opportunity to look at some of the art installations on 4th Street on Monday night and was impressed by how vibrant and, you know, just it was just such a wonderful feeling to be down there. And, you know, with fall coming in and so forth, it was a relief from all of the stress and all the smoke and all of the difficulties that we've been going through. So thank you so much to you and your team and all the artists for making this possible.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Do I have any questions from members of the public?
I don't see any hands up this time.
Okay, so
Hi.
we'll.
No, there are no comments from the public at this time.
Okay, very well. Thank you. Let's move on to item 4.2, the downtown station area specific plan update by Amy Lyle, our supervising planner.
Good morning, committee members. This is Amy Lyle, and I just have a very brief update for you today. The downtown area specific plan has been out for public comment. So the plan and the environmental impact report were out for 45 days, and that period closed on August 31st on Monday. So we did get a good amount of comments. We did a lot of outreach virtually. So we had about 10 different outreach meetings and then probably a dozen or so other focus meetings with individual stakeholders, and are continuing to meet with the development community about specific components of the plan. I will say the last few weeks have been challenging. As we know, most residents are just triggered in general. So we were very sensitive about how we did our outreach in the last few weeks. And we have allowed some organizations to just provide comments a little bit later, or, you know, we wanted to provide some flexibility based on what has been going on in our community. So for the schedule going forward, we have a tight turnaround with our environmental impact report. So our consultant team is really focused on responding to the comments on that. And meanwhile, our team at the city are focused on our zoning code amendments that are necessary to implement the plan and the design guideline amendments. So those will be moving forward, tracking about a month after adoption of the specific plan itself. But the specific plan and the environmental impact report will be going to the Planning Commission on September 24th, and then targeting the City Council for October 13th. So those are the only updates I have at this time, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Excuse me. Thank you, Amy. Vice Mayor Fleming, Councilmember Sawyer, questions? Any members of the public wishing to make comments on this item?
No, there are no members of the public requesting comment at this time.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to item 4.3, Resilient City Initiatives Zoning Code Amendments, Resilient City. Sherry Meads will be making this presentation.
Terrific. And Sherry, you should be unmuted at this point, and we're just working on getting your presentation up. It will just take one moment.
Wonderful, Eileen. Thank you so much. And there it is. Good morning, committee members. I'm here with you to discuss the Resilient City Initiative Zoning Code Amendments. Next slide, please. As most of you know, the city adopted a suite of initiatives in response to the 2017 wildfires to promote housing and economic development. We refer to this set of ordinances as the Resilient City Initiatives. And this project is a 3-year temporary zoning code that will extend many of the original measures, but it will also take a broader look at ways the city can promote business flexibility in support of both fire and COVID recovery. Things like, are there regulatory restrictions we can relax in order to alleviate burdens on businesses? Are there new emerging industries that we should be nurturing? We're all in. We'll eventually have to consider health and safety regulations that sometimes answer the question of, can we do it? But at this point, we're trying to hear what regulatory tools the community wants. And note, if ideas are not right for this temporary code change, we can still explore them for later work. Next slide, please. One of the steps of this process includes taking a look at the rebuild area ordinance and evaluating whether current conditions allow us to pull back on some of the relaxed regulations and if other changes should be made based on nearly 3 years of recovery experience. Next slide, please. The Resilient City Development Measures are citywide initiatives, so changes to this ordinance are likely to have the greatest impact. And these are some of the things we have been exploring at a staff level. Consider them like a menu of options, one could say. And what we're asking is, have we captured things that the business and community members need? Next slide, please. Here's the project timeline. We will be holding a virtual community meeting discussion on the evening of Monday, September 14th to introduce this project. And we're hoping to hear some great ideas from folks. Sometimes a community member can come up with something way outside the box that we haven't thought of. So we're really looking forward to getting that input. We'll be reaching out to the chamber group soon as well. We plan on taking this to the Planning Commission in early October, and introduction by the City Council is expected during November. Next slide, please. And here's my contact information. I really hope that everyone will reach out if they have ideas, suggestions, questions, comments, anything that can make this really powerful. That's what we're hoping to do here. And I'm also available now to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Sherry. Mayor Fleming, Councilmember Sawyer, any questions? Mr. Sawyer?
Thank you, Mr. Oliveris. Just a comment. Thank you very much, Sherry, for your presentation, and good luck with your outreach. And then we all know how important it is, and you're right about hearing things that staff and other members of the project have not heard before. These kinds of recommendations and suggestions can really make a project fly. And so I'm looking forward to the public input. It's going to be really important. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Fleming, questions? Thank you. Any members of the public wishing to comment on this item?
No, there are no members of the public indicating they would like to comment.
Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to 4.4, the Downtown Action Organization update. Cadence, thank you for all the work you've been doing the last month or so in making things happen downtown. So I'll turn it over to you for an update.
Thank you, and good morning, committee members. Looking forward to giving you some updates today on what's happening downtown and what we're looking forward to. First, a quick update on our Street Plus crew. Not surprisingly, the number of quality of life responses nearly doubled in August from July. The team has been working a lot with the expanding homeless population downtown, which has become more of an issue for them actually this week, which I don't think would be a surprise to anybody. But we're working with Catholic Charities to try to address the issues because it's become, we've had a number of calls from business owners about those experiencing homelessness interrupting the diners, people eating outdoors and enjoying the open and out space. So that's been a bit of a challenge as they're trying to keep their businesses going. And we've had, I know, quite a few calls to the police over the past few days. So trying to work with all of our city partners to kind of address this issue and make sure we're getting everyone who is willing to take services and housing. So thank you to all of our partners on that initiative and on the Open and Out program. It's been really great to work with city staff who have been creative and supportive and dedicated to supporting small businesses in downtown. So moving on to Open and Out, a couple updates. Tara mentioned we do have 7 pieces of artwork installed. 1 more is in process, and we have 17 left. So those are going to be installed between now and the end of the year. And we actually have 1 that was put on hold until April. So that'll be a fun way to kind of extend the artwork through next year as we're looking to keep downtown a little more vibrant, as Victoria said. We have 2 socially distanced performances that we're going to be having over the next couple of weeks. Ballet Folklorico is going to come and perform kind of a roving performance, so not trying to gather a crowd, but trying to bring a little culture and entertainment to those who are downtown. And then the local Sonoma County Taiko group is going to come and do a couple drumming demonstrations as well. So we're excited to be partnering with those 2 groups. And as long as musicians are comfortable, we still have them outside performing Friday and Saturday evenings and Sunday afternoons. We've got a few cancellations because of smoke, but it seems when I've been downtown and what I've heard from others, the smoke hasn't had that much of an impact on people being interested in being out. So when it's not too bad, it is still pretty lively. So those are happening as the musicians are able. I shared our most recent survey responses with you already, but responses continue to show that the majority of businesses are still supportive of the program. I think if anything, it shows that they're tired of answering surveys. We definitely have some who are still opposed and feel that they have not seen a benefit from the increased foot traffic that Open and Out has brought, and we're still trying to engage with businesses and figure out ways to help them get creative and engage with the population who is coming downtown. And we definitely have some retailers who are doing that. We've got some who are adjusting hours because they're seeing people come later in the day. They're doing interesting and innovative things to bring people into their shop and make them familiar with their products. So we love seeing that and love hearing from them. There's a lot of really fun ideas that are out there from some of our retailers. And we continue to get really positive feedback from the community around Open and Out, especially around the artwork and the way it has enlivened the space. So I think Victoria spoke to that, and we have a lot of the upcoming pieces are going to be very exciting. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to those. I'll share that the one that has gotten the most attention is a piece called Foamy Delight. I don't know if anyone has seen that, but it's on the welcome pillars on the corner of E and 4th. And it's kind of a nod to Santa Rosa's beer culture. So it's kind of a sweet piece, a little beer mug and bottle pouring into it. So people love that, and I think kind of makes them proud of their hometown. So one thing that I wanted to mention was that, we've been doing our surveys for 6 weeks now, and we are seeing a clear majority who are continuing to support the program. We have 2 options through the end of open and out. We can keep surveying every 2 weeks, or at this point we can decide that I think we've seen enough positive feedback. We're halfway through. We're going to keep the program going definitely through October 15th. So I would defer to you. I'm happy to keep surveying our businesses every 2 weeks, or we can let them know that the program is going to run through October 15th. We have begun discussing what it will look like after October 15th. The city staff are meeting this afternoon to talk about options. We've gotten a lot of questions from our restaurant owners. They want to know, can we keep our parklets? What's next? How do we keep our businesses going? So we're going to work through with city staff what those options are. And then our goal is going to be to present those to our business owners, share with them the different ways that open and out can continue or not continue, and collect their feedback. We're also going to do a public facing survey, which we hope to get out to as many people as possible, because I know it's very important to have community feedback on what the downtown looks like. It does belong to everybody. So we'll be taking those 2 surveys, and staff and the open and out group who've been working on the program will ideally come up with a recommendation for you for our next meeting on October 1st. And then that will determine what happens after October 15th. So that's our goal, to give you that recommendation at that point based on our survey responses from both of those groups. Any open and out questions? I have one more topic to cover, but I don't know if I want to stay here for a moment. Oh. I think that was no. Okay. But did you have a preference? Do you want surveys to keep going for every 2 weeks through October 15th?
Okay, so the questions to us now are, do we want the surveys to continue as we've been doing in the past? Vice Mayor Fleming, Councilmember Sawyer, any questions on that or comments on that?
I'll speak up. I think for predictability, I think it's a good idea to set a time so that the merchants have something they can depend on, and the community needs to know as well, so that they can plan their trips downtown. So I would be in favor of moving forward with setting the date of October 15th, and just let it keep running until that time.
Yes, and I think the other question too was related to continuing on with the surveys during that time as well.
I'm kind of, I think the people that really are interested in responding to the survey probably have. I'm not sure that there would be great value in continuing it, especially if it is decided to keep that date positive. That sending out a survey would suggest that a change might happen. And I think just kind of biting the bullet, being bold about it, and saying October 15th is the target date is probably, in my opinion, would be the best course of action.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Fleming?
I'm inclined to agree with Councilmember Sawyer.
Thank you, and I agree as well. I think it's time, and you mentioned that Cadence is looking at what's going to be the next steps. And I think we need to start focusing some of that energy to that is beyond October 15th, what things will look like and what adjustments we can make for our businesses in the downtown. So I would be in agreement that we can go ahead and stop with the surveys. I think we have a lot of valuable information that was provided, and I don't anticipate any major changes as we move forward with it. So with that, I also wanted to express my gratitude, Cadence, to the work that you've done in making this happen. I know it's been a lot of work, but I see what's happening downtown really as a success. I know it has not been 100% satisfaction with what we've done, but I think overall, I think it's been a very positive thing. So if there's no other questions from my colleagues, we'll go ahead and move on to.
through the chair, might I make a comment?
Yes.
Which is that, thank you to Cadence for all the work on that, because they have been quite useful in reconciling some of the sentiments that we hear from people with the data that we get back, and understanding, what is working and what hasn't been working, giving us some confidence in knowing that, we are meeting the majority of the constituents. And when I say constituents, I mean business owners, needs in the area. So I wanted to thank you for all your work and the amount of liaising that you do with them. So that's all.
Thank you. Any comments from the public?
Chair Oliveris, there are no hands raised at this time.
Boy, I've never seen this group be
No,
so shy.
there's
of
no-
asking
add
questions.
one more item.
What's that? Cadence, I think you had one more item on this.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
So the last thing I want to mention is the Asala fountain. We are, hopefully you can hear me. My computer's gone a little fuzzy. We're moving forward with rebuilding the Asala fountain. And again, really appreciate the partnership with the city, Tara, and Grant, and the Public Works team helping us move this along quickly. We sent a press release out yesterday with details, and we've created a website connected with both the Asala Foundation and the Japanese American Citizens League in Sonoma County to let them know that we're in the process of moving forward. We've raised about 85% of the funds needed and are aiming to wrap up fundraising by the end of this month. And I have to thank Caroline Spence for joining us in that effort. She's been instrumental in getting that going. And we're going to be working closely with Tara and Public Works moving forward. But the goal is to break ground in the next few months. So we're really excited about this project and are looking forward to bringing those panels back to downtown and adding a new old piece of artwork to Courthouse Square. So that's an exciting update, and I'll continue to let you know that progress as we move along.
Vice Mayor John, any questions? Okay. Any members of the public wishing to comment?
There are no raised hands at this time.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and move on to the other side of the freeway. Rafael.
Sí, buenos días, Chair Olivares. Good morning, Councilmember Sawyer. Dice Alcaldesa Fleming, Rafael. And good morning to everyone on the call. Very excited to see some of you and hear you all. So I have a quick update regarding Railroad Square. The board met on Thursday, August 20th, and a very exciting meeting, and with lots of items to go through. There was some talk about the security program. It's working well. However, I plan to bring a more detailed report and report it at our next meeting, so we can hear what's going on there. I do understand that there's an uptake again in graffiti, so lots of the properties are being tagged, and they're trying to figure out a way to kind of abate that situation or mitigate that situation. In terms of exciting news, the AC Hotel opened last week. They had a soft opening, but due to the smoke in the air, unfortunately, they kept it to a very minimum in terms of they just kept it amongst themselves, basically, staff members and such. They've hired 20 crew members. I met the general manager, very nice fellow. And a new parking lot is under construction on Davis and 6th Street. And that will accommodate up to, I believe, 90 or 100 vehicles. And then that would also alleviate the issue with the parking lot under the freeway there along, I forget the name of that street, West 3rd and such. But things are moving forward. And I also had the opportunity to meet the new general manager of Hotel La Rose. He's very excited about joining the hotel and the area. He's a local person, knows Brad pretty well from Visit Santa Rosa. So he did share that over the past couple of weeks, the hotel has been booked, but unfortunately it's with evacuees and firefighters, which is great. But of course, we want those tourists returning to this area at some point in the near future. There's also 6 restaurants participating in the Open and Out program. That means that they have their parklets. And so far with, I've done like walkthrough surveys and speaking to the restaurant owners and such, and the response has been very positive. People just need to drive very carefully around the area so they don't bump into any of the structures providing those parklets. I also understand that Miracle Plum has expressed some interest, or there's a proposal for them to initiate some kind of farmer's market. I'm not 100% sure that they've reached out to Tara, but that proposal is still on the table. They're just coming up with what they need to do in order to make that happen. So that's still a potential activity that could be brought to the area. Unfortunately, the art gallery closed, as well as a jewelry store along 4th Street. But again, I was there last night, and the ambience was upbeat. A lot of people out, social distancing, of course, and with their face covering. But there's some momentum being built under these current conditions. The visitor center remains closed at the moment. I haven't gotten an update on when it will reopen. Homeless situation is an ongoing issue, but the security folks have been having positive experiences with the help of Catholic Charities and exercising dialogue and getting them to move around to other areas. And the board meetings have been switched. The board meetings of the association are now going to be held on Thursdays at 9 a.m. On the 3rd Thursday of each month. So that is all I have for Rebel Square. And last thing is that they are in the process of hiring a part-time individual to take the lead from the administrative aspect to help the association continue moving forward.
Thank you, Rafael. Vice Mayor Fleming, Councilmember Sawyer, questions?
No questions, Mr. Oliveros, but I do have the reason that we may not be getting some comments from the public. I got a text that the system or the link was not working, but evidently the phone link is it not the case that the phone link is the way the community voices there or speaks to us on these Zoom meetings is by phone?
No, it's not phone only. They can use the raise hand feature on the Zoom and ask questions.
Okay, I just want to let's make sure, Eileen, that is functioning. I got, because of the text that I got was that it was that the link, the Zoom link on the agenda was not functioning well or what at all, but that the phone link does. If we could just double check that, it might be why we're not getting some comment.
And I think too, some people may still have an older version of Zoom that does not support the raise hand feature. So that may be an issue too. I know that we've had that issue come up during our council meetings as well.
Okay.
Oh, I will check into that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And so with that, if we get this thing, if we do find a glitch and people are wanting to comment on prior items, we can make that happen. So on this item, any other questions? Okay, and I don't believe we have hands raised yet on this one either.
I don't see any hands raised on this.
Thank you.
So I won't.
Let's go ahead and move on to our public safety update. Sergeant Wolf.
Yes, can you hear me all right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so to mirror kind of what Cadence was saying earlier, there's definitely an increase in the downtown corridor of homeless related issues. Fremont Park was cleared 2 days ago. While many people took services, there was also a large group of service resistant people that have moved on elsewhere. And we are seeing more in the downtown corridor. My team that goes out every morning and goes down by the businesses to make sure the storefronts are clear, found where normally there'd be between 0 and 2 people because they know we come through. Today there were 5. We're seeing some of the issues we've seen before at the library and Old Courthouse Square, as Caden said, on 4th Street. It's a fairly fluid situation right now because this population is in the process of moving. So I'm getting regular updates. I mean, just a few minutes ago, even it was changing. I just got a report that the Greenway, a chunk of them seem to have established tents under 101 on the south side. So we've definitely been taking enforcement. Unfortunately, as I've said previously, the jail doesn't hold people for more than 4 hours in most cases. So sometimes we're dealing with the same person multiple times. We did get some of the people we have many contacts with on the list for Project Hope, which is a good thing because when we get them housed, it cuts calls for service significantly and reduces the impact on downtown. As Caden said again, Host is also aware of the impacts downtown and they're going to try and make more of a presence there as well. One thing of note, just on a safety standpoint, we as police get a lot of training related to fentanyl because it's so deadly. We carry Narcan now and use it periodically to revive people, but we're seeing an uptick and we think it's because a large chunk of the homeless population is apparently getting unemployment checks now. So we're noticing an uptick of cars coming by and some sales going on. And the main reason I'm bringing it up here is because we've also had people bring up a piece of plastic with what ended up Red Rock, which is the name for heroin mixed with fentanyl. And it's it's poison. Touching it, inhaling it can be deadly depending on how it's mixed. So for anybody that's downtown and sees what looks like a gooey brown substance on something, I just caution you to be careful because we're seeing a lot more of that. With regards to Railroad Square, as Raphael said, we are getting the reports of the graffiti. That information has been passed on to our graveyard teams who are patrolling it as they are able. I've gotten reports of acid put on windows, things that are not, you can't just clean it up. I know that's having a major impact for some of the businesses on 4th and 5th Street on the Railroad Square side. So those are some of the things we're dealing with.
Thank you, Sergeant Wolf. Vice Mayor Fleming, Councilmember Sawyer.
Thank you, Chair Oliveris. Sergeant Wolf, thank you for your report. The Red Rock thing is highly concerning, especially as the parent of a small child who, anybody who's had a small kid knows that they just pick up things. And the idea of her picking up a bit of fentanyl is just terrifying. Can you, I know it's difficult without the images, without being able to show images, but is there a way to provide us with an image of what that looks like? Maybe not in this meeting, but in an upcoming meeting or through the SRPD website or something like that so that we can better inform our public, because what I don't want is people not to come downtown. I do want them to be informed and for us to be able to protect our little ones as we go downtown.
Yes, absolutely. I will get that to you and we'll look at what we can do maybe from a public education standpoint as well.
That would be really helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think we can provide that to Cadence and our downtown folks too. I think would be helpful. And I believe one of your officers was exposed. How's that officer doing?
He's doing all right. It's so extreme that many of the gloves, it'll penetrate right through. There's special gloves that have to be worn when you're dealing with it. If you know you're dealing with it, really ideally you even have eye protection and more than that. You have to be careful how you dispose of the gloves that you handle it with. I know that we were in Fremont Park. I mean, I was there personally when a lady came up with a piece of plastic going, look, there's red rock on here. This is dangerous. So it is out there. But the officer is doing well. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this is a big public safety concern that we probably should get some information out. Captain Cregan, I see that you're on the call with us this morning. If you had a chance, I wanted to call out to you to see if you had any comments during our public safety update here or anything more from a broader perspective around the city.
Thanks, Councilmember Oliveris. So the big updates today is obviously we continue to work on through our heat model of identifying some of the larger encampments and really focusing on the getting people into services. So that was a big success with the Fremont Park this week, that Fremont Park was cleared out, and we saw a significant amount of them eventually, at least initially, say that they're going to go into services. So we were very pleased with the relationship working with Host and with Housing and Community Services on that, and all of our other city partners. And as Sergeant Wolf said, now we're going to be looking at some of the other areas and how it's affecting downtown, and especially going on to the Prince Memorial Greenway, and working with our partners to address any of those. So the big thing for the group here in this meeting is to continue to communicate with us with some of the concerns, and we want to hear about the issues. So Sergeant Wolf is our contact, and Lieutenant Dave Becker, and feel free to email me, because we want to hear about some of the concerns, and that way we can best allocate our resources to address those. And especially this time for our downtown, we're very cognizant of that, as so many business owners are struggling, and we want to do everything we can to assist them during these tough times.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Fleming, Councilmember Sawyer, any other questions on this item? I think, let's see if we have any public comment on this.
I don't see any hands raised. However, I would like to let the members of the public know, if you are calling in, if you press 9, it should show me that your hand is raised and we can unmute you.
And that's just a straight 9, or is it a star 9?
I believe it's just a straight 9.
Okay.
Oh, and actually we do have someone, caller from 8247. Hold on just one moment. We'll allow you to speak. If you would go ahead and, caller, you should be able to speak at this time. We'll go ahead and just keep track of the time for you.
Okay, thank you very much. This is Eric Frazier, and I tell you, this is a horrendous mess to get in to make a comment on this meeting. The Zoom link was inactive. It showed an error message. There's an additional doorway that the city is now requiring people to go through in order to make a public comment, something to deal with Microsoft. The phone, so I'm calling in on the phone, and it is indeed a star 9 in order to make a public comment. Look, you've had several months to figure this out. This isn't anything new. You continue to monkey with the system so that people are thrown off in order to submit or to participate. Because, you know, we can't see it on Zoom, I imagine we can pull it up perhaps on another video feed. But this is really an abomination of your duty as public servants to include the public. And so while we're listening here completely across the board, everybody wants public comment and public interaction and public surveys and all this sort of thing. But you're failing at your most basic duty to provide that access during the meetings. And this is not the first time. This is an ongoing problem, and certainly worthy of a class action suit against the city. You're denying people that are low income, that don't have reliable internet connection, or that are living in areas that are not served very effectively by Wi-Fi. You're also interfering with families that are looking to educate their children using Wi-Fi, and they can't participate in these meetings. You have not thought this out in regards to what the public needs. In fact, what this looks like is a premeditated action by the city to deny the public the opportunity to participate. And like I said, this is not the first time. So while across the board, I can recognize that everybody involved in this meeting has our city's interest at heart, one has to wonder whether in fact they have their own personal and political interests at heart, primarily above that of the city. And for that, I feel a little bit of shame and regret, quite frankly. So there you have it. You can figure it out, or you cannot figure it out, or you can bubble around and say, oh, I figured it out. Oh, this is, oh, ha, 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 this is only a minor thing, so on and so forth. But this is incredibly serious. And, you know, you guys just don't get it. And the more that you guys just don't get it and we bear witness to it, the more we see that it's not just an accidental thing. This is an ongoing attempt to stifle the public voice and public participation. And for that, again, you guys should be held in ridicule and held accountable. So thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fraser.
Any other comments?
No, I don't see any other hands raised at this time.
Thank you. Okay, let me get back to my agenda here. Okay, we'll move on to item 4.7, maintenance of Courthouse Square. Dean.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Good morning. Good to see everybody. August has been a very, very challenging month, very trying month between lightning strikes, fires, air quality, homeless encampment mitigation. But our staff is still traipsing on downtown. We now have a system for watering those plants downtown. So our guys are actually working through that just as fast as if there was not any obstacles down 4th Street. So that's pleasing. Getting adequately watered weekly. We have had plenty of challenges that John mentioned with folks moving around, and definitely seeing an uptick in graffiti that we're dealing with. And we're also seeing, believe it or not, some violence, some vandalism against our trees. Right? I don't know what's going on, but it's very bizarre that they are hanging off of limbs and storing things up in trees and things that are breaking limbs. It seems like we've been doing an incredible amount of emergency response tree work lately. It's very strange. I'm really enjoying working with the group with the development of the fountain. I'm excited to see that go in, to see that artwork back displayed like it was before in the square. I'm looking forward to it. I am really, really excited that this is going forward. So we're working together as a team. There's some folks from MSC South, and we're all just collaborating to try to get this thing moving forward and not hold up the project at all. So that's about it. Yeah.
Thank you, Dean. And again, thank you for the work you're doing down there and your crews down there. You know, times have been difficult for everybody, but you guys continue to do your best effort down there to maintain things and keep things looking as nice as possible. Vice Mayor Fleming, Councilmember Sawyer, questions? Thank you. Members of the public, questions related to maintenance of Courthouse Square?
There are no hands raised at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to item 4.8. We have a Housing and Community Services update from Kelly Kuykendall.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me here. I think that Sergeant Wolf and Captain Cregan gave a good summary of our efforts in the downtown and just our overall response to encampments throughout the city. So I'll just give you a real quick update on sort of the homeless services and programming side of things. So we're busy just trying to sustain all of our existing programs that the city supports and also our pandemic response. And just as a reminder, we have set up hotel rooms for those most at risk of exposure to COVID-19. So that's one of our new programs in response to the pandemic. We also have the Safe Social Distancing Program, which is a managed camp at the Finley site. So sustaining existing and pandemic response programs. Those are sort of our tier 1 priorities right now. We're also going to be moving forward with installing a sprung structure in the parking lot at the Sam Jones Hall shelter. And that is to restore our shelter bed capacity to pre-COVID-19 shelter bed capacity. We had to move individuals out of that shelter to comply with a social distancing requirement. So we're hoping to have that up in the December timeframe so we can get those much needed emergency shelter beds back at Sam Jones Hall. And that will hopefully allow us to ramp down the program that we've set up at Finley. So that's my brief update, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor or Councilmember Sawyer? Any members of the public wishing to comment on this item?
No, there are no raised hands at this time.
Thank you. And we reached the end of our agenda. And again, I want to apologize for any glitches that did occur during this process. There is no nefarious intent here to keep people from making comments, but I would like to have us look into whether or not we had a problem with our connection today. And I would ask those of you who are still with us, if you did have questions or comments to make on any of the items, if you could please reach out to us. Because at least I want to consider whether we need to have a special meeting sometime soon and not wait another month for a meeting if there were people that wanted to comment on this item. It's important that we hear from you, and I know that when we meet face to face, we have a lot of public comment, and we encourage that. It is offensive to me for somebody to say that we are purposely trying to prevent the public from speaking to us, because that is not the case. And I think I speak for my colleagues as well and for staff. I found that very offensive personally, but we will do everything we can to ensure that you all are able to comment during our meetings. So I will ask staff to look into what issues that occur. We're dealing with somebody else's system to be able to have these meetings. This is not optimal for me or my colleagues or for the entire city. This is not the way we're used to doing business. And for that, I do apologize. But again, I think we need to look at whether or not we need to have a special meeting before our next monthly meeting to ensure that we have our public able to make comment and ask questions about any of the items that we did present today. So I will work with staff offline on seeing what we can do to make that fix and to ensure that you're all heard. So with that, that's the end of our business, and we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.